Hi everyone, I am so excited because I am speaking with author Rachael Hardcastle, and she's going to hold up the book we're going to talk about because she has lots of books, but we're talking about this one, Noah, Finn, and the Art of Suicide, because I couldn't read it. I'm like, wait, I can't read that. There we go. And the Art of Suicide. First of all, I love the cover. And,
Thank you.
this book, I didn't know what to expect, like in my wildest dreams, because especially since suicide's so big. But I mean, I'm looking at you, and you are a baby. You are so young. I have children that are older than you, and because I have 6 children, and my oldest son is 31, which I think is older than you, or close, and I'm like, you are so smart. Like, you're so, and I don't even want to say smart, like intellectually. I want to say, like, in order to understand some of these things that I was like blown away about, you are like, there is something special about you. And I
Thank you.
am so happy that that I get the chance to talk to you about this. I made so many notes, and like, we have a lot to talk about. But let's introduce Noah, and then you tell me how you found Noah.
Sure. Noah was originally a character I just designed to fit a need. He was gonna just unfortunately die one day and wake up on a train to either heaven or hell, depending on the lessons that he learned. So that was the original story. And after a lot of consideration and a lot of people getting involved and providing their feedback, we kind of figured that we needed to develop Noah a little bit, and we needed to have him learn something really significant. So that's when I chose to have him commit suicide. And the book is set on 9/11 for a very good reason. It's not random. It was set on 9/11 purely so that the lessons that Noah learns, he learns for a real reason. He really learns them because he sees all of these other people that sadly lose their lives when actually they wanted their lives, and he throws his away. And he wakes up on the train as if he's going to go to work as a normal guy on a normal day.
Yeah.
And is met by a guy that claims to be everything. He claims to be the universe. He claims to be life and death and birth and everything. And he's got a couple of things that he wants Noah to know before he moves on to his afterlife.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of reminiscent of A Christmas Story. And that's the vibe I was getting, but with a definite different, more in-depth twist, because of the people. Like, okay, so he's tried to commit suicide other times. This is not his first attempt. Well, he kind of goes through with it, but
several times he attempts it, and each time the universe intervenes because they want him to live. The world wants him to live, and he just doesn't get it. He just doesn't get that he can't commit suicide for a reason, that, there's a real universal reason why he needs to be here. So he keeps trying and trying, and then the last time that he tries, he succeeds in losing his life, but he doesn't actually end up committing suicide. He dies in 9/11 with everybody else.
It's crazy. I mean, I thought that was brilliant. I really did. Like, when I was reading that, I was like, that is absolutely brilliant, because it's almost like he almost changes his mind. Because he was like, which is just crazy, because I do think that it is kind of a thing. I guess, I had a father who was a drug addict and tried to commit suicide in front of me, okay? Not to get like, not to be depressing, but I've witnessed it, okay? And it was like that, because he would down a bottle of pills in front of me. Like, if you want to commit suicide, that's not what people do, right? I mean, and so when I was reading about Noah, I was like, yeah, it's like he attempted, the universe, like, it's almost like he didn't know if he wanted to go through with it or not, and then the universe would intervene, and then this time it doesn't, and it's almost like it shocks him that it doesn't intervene, that the universe actually is like, okay, you don't want to be here, we get it, you're gone.
Yeah. He kind of angers the universe, and like Christopher says to him in the book, Christopher Saint is the name that death gives himself. I actually named him Christopher Saint because of Saint Christopher, the protector of travellers, and all of that. So Christopher Saint decides that actually maybe Noah just does need to die, because he's really messing up the plans. Every time he tries to kill himself, he mucks up somebody else's path. So he's kind of, in the end, I think Christopher's kind of relieved that he doesn't have to deal with this anymore, that Noah just kind of is dead and that's that, and he must learn his lessons and then that's him dealt with and moved on. So, but he does try to commit suicide several times in lots of different ways, and he kind of goes through wanting the attention and needing that reassurance that he is wanted in the world, and then kind of moves on to, right, I'm going to do it, and then he moves on to ways of doing it on his own, so not in a public place, not with people surrounding him. He tries to drive off a bridge and tries to hang himself, and the rope snaps, and, there's various other ways in which he tries, and in the end, it just takes a flash second for him to realise actually he really does want to live, and by then it's too late.
Yeah, and I was so moved by this quote you gave in the beginning of the book, but in the end, one needs more courage to live than to kill himself. And I was like, oh, that is so true. It had me thinking, because I never heard of that quote before, and I was just like, you know what? It truly does. Like, I don't know that we look at life, and that's why when I look at you and you're so young, and, but sometimes it does take a lot of courage to, like, face things and want to go through them. Or choose to go through them, right? I mean, basically, we're making choices. I mean, even if somebody close to us dies and we get up and wake up the next morning, it's a choice. And going through life is a choice all the time. Like, yes, I still want to be here. Yes, I still want to keep trying. I still want to see if I can overcome, right? Isn't it like, I still want to see if I can do this, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people that have depression, sometimes they just struggle to get out of bed in the morning. So for them, physically just getting up and making themselves a cup of coffee and getting dressed and brushing their teeth in the morning, that for them is a real accomplishment, because it's so hard for them. So I wanted Noah to understand that life is bravery, and that it does take courage to just be alive, and that, you're not going to be handed everything for free, and it's not easy, and expecting it to be easy and then deciding that you want out because it isn't, and life isn't handing you what you want. Christopher tries to teach Noah that by doing that, he's affecting the lives of other people who are also struggling, and that we're all in this together. And when one person really does their best and clings on and fights for life, it helps everybody else around them to do the exact same thing.
I think this book is going to help so many people. I can't wait to see whose hands it comes into. I mean, it's been out for a year, but I know it's it's not going to be one of those books that just goes away. As your career grows, I think people will always be drawn to this book, because it does make when you're writing a book that makes a statement like this, like, you're just hitting it head on, it does take a while for people to get it but this is not going anywhere. Like, this to me is like a book that's just going to keep going throughout your life. And, and maybe you'll write more, like, that'll even be more insight. But I want to tell everybody these lessons, okay? That's why it's like, I'm like, as I read these, I could just tear up. Denial, guilt, anger, loneliness, upward turn, which I'm going to ask you about, reconstruction, and then hope. So that upward turn, it's like, it's right after loneliness. So is it almost like once you face loneliness or get through the loneliness part, like there's an upward turn? Like, it's, I don't know. I'm just trying to guess for you.
I personally took it as kind of rock bottom upwards.
Yes.
You can't get any lower, but the lessons that he learns, the 7 lessons, are actually the 7 stages of grief that he goes through.
Yes.
So they're in line with the 7 stages of grief. So for each stage of grief, Christopher wants him to learn a lesson that relates to that and allows him to grieve for himself. So I think there's denial. So at first he doesn't even want to accept that he's died. He's sat on the train and he sort of says, you're kind of rude for a dead guy. And Noah just brushes it off and then goes, oh, wait a minute. Dead, that can't be right. Next time I'll get a taxi, because a lot of crazy people drive the subway. So he kind of just doesn't want to acknowledge. So he, as well as grieving for the people that he's lost in his life, he needs to grieve for his own life as well, and he needs to grieve for everything that he's not going to have anymore. And Christopher walks him through the 7 stages of his own death, effectively, as well as the death of the people that he's lost in his life.
That was absolutely brilliant of you. Just so you know, it was so, I loved it. I loved how you did that. I love these 2 characters. I love how they talk back and forth to one another, and how, Noah's always just trying to, like, argue, but then doesn't win his arguments very well,
Yeah, Christopher's not he's got his own agenda in the book. So he says that he sort of, he walks people through death, but he's not actually the person that takes the life. He can't do anything about it. He just deals with the aftermath effectively. And he has kind of his own agenda, because towards the end of the book, he tells Noah that he has 3 options for his afterlife, and these options have been given to him based on how well he's done learning his lessons. And without ruining the book, I won't tell you what the options are.
I was like. I don't know how much we want to talk about that, because I really looked forward to finding out what those options were, you know?
Yeah, and I remember writing the end of the book, and I was actually sat in a hotel room as I was doing it, and I was like, evil genius, kind of, what can I actually throw at Noah?
Yeah.
What does he deserve to have the chance to do? So that was quite fun to be able to build his afterlife for him effectively. But Christopher and Noah have this back and forth where Noah desperately tries to get round him. So Christopher will say something or give him a fact about the universe, and Noah will say, but suicide's a sin. And he will say, well, no, because suicide and sin don't exist. Nothing that we humans label or categorise or assign things to actually exists. It's all in our mind. We make that up to make life easier to cope with. So all the way through, he kind of just tries to get around Christopher by saying, yes, but, and Christopher just stops him dead in his tracks. So they've got this comical back and forth between them.
Well, I find it interesting is like your explanation of God in the book, because I was raised a Christian. I'm 54. I'm a lot older than you. And I know my concept of God changed a lot, you know, because I started off this one way, and then it's like you learn, and then it's a constantly evolving thing. I mean, do you find that even in the short amount of time you've had? Like,
well,
does it evolve?
I mean, a lot of people who speak to me say, so you must be really religious then.
Yeah.
No, not all. I am not all religious. I have an open mind, but I actually don't particularly believe in anything. I want to believe, and I think that part of me is the bit that wrote the book. Yeah. But I actually am quite sceptical about religion and what happens when we die. So I've had a priest actually buy the book and tell me that he wanted to see what my views were, because he was always interested in learning everybody else's view of God. But no, I do think that your beliefs change as you get older, because your experiences change and things happen to you that open your eyes or make you go the other way. So I do agree that your beliefs do change. But personally, writing a book, I actually am not religious, and a lot of people come to me and say, so writing such a religious book, you must really believe in God then. And actually, I don't know. I don't know what I believe.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what's interesting is that I had this one way of thinking, and then my mom ended up dying. She died of cancer, so it's kind of like we knew she was going to die. And I said to her, like, you have to come back. Like, you got to tell me. Like, there's a sign, like, after you die, like, you gotta show me something, right? Because I was so like, here's this person that I'm the closest person in the whole entire world to her, okay? I know she loves me more than anybody in the world. So, I mean, who but your mom is going to help you with this, like, understanding, right? Well, she died in 2011, and nothing. I've got nothing. Like, I wanted this big, like, I wanted somebody to write it in the sky, like, hello, Michelle, I'm here, everything's great. And one time I went to a psychic, right, which I go back and forth, whatever, okay, I just did because I wanted to know. And at the time, the psychic said, oh, your mother's coming through, and she said that you're going to have a lot of grandchildren in a very short period of time, okay? Well, I had 9 grandchildren in like 5 years. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. So they were coming fast. Like, I had 3 children who were mass producing children. Okay. So I was like, wait, how did she know that? Like, how did the psychic lady know? Or was it so I'm with you. I'm like, I don't know. I really don't. Like, how does anybody know? How do we know? We don't.
I think for me, I mean, the whole thing about whether your mum could give you that message or not, the religious part of you might sort of think, right, well, she will because she's my mum and she loves me and she's going to send me this message. But then the other side of it, the side of me that wrote Noah wants to think, well, perhaps there's something about heaven and hell that people that are living on earth just cannot comprehend. So even if she could come back and tell you, maybe actually you just wouldn't be ready, or you wouldn't be, not capable, but you wouldn't
Right.
be able to understand what she was trying to tell you. So that part of me is the bit that wrote Noah, where Noah thinks that everything's just black and white, and actually there's a whole spectrum in between it, and he's never ever going to understand it because we're not supposed to understand it. We're just supposed to be the people that we are and affect other people, and on and on and on. So I would like to think that your mum would come back, but
yeah, I always think, what if she's like standing right next to me, jumping up and down, going, "Look, I'm right," and I just can't see it, you know, like you said, like we're just not capable. I've had to accept that. Like, more than anything, I accept the fact that even if she could, like, she would, and then she can't. Either she can't or she is, and I can't tell. So, you know, there is that something. But you always want to be that person, right? Like, we always want to be, like, that one person who's like, I did it, I saw it, I know, she's right there. Like, I know exactly what happens, but...
There are some things that have happened to me and family and friends in particular a couple of years ago where it did make me stop and think, this cannot be a coincidence. There is something at force here that is involved. There's some higher power, but, you know, it could have been coincidence, but it changed my friends' beliefs. It kind of tweaked my own beliefs, and I think things just happen to us during our lives, like they did to Noah, that actually they just sway us either way. And some of us sit in the middle, like me, and some of us, unfortunately, depending on what happens to you, go either way. So I personally don't know.
Well, anyway, you know what, Rachel, this was brilliant. It really was. And I enjoy, more than anything, it's like, I don't want people to be put off by the whole suicide, like it's going to be all depressing, and it's not depressing. It opens your mind. It makes you think. You know, like, I read it yesterday. It's a quick read. You can read it in a day. I read it in a day, and I loved how it made me think, because you don't come across as like, I know what's going to happen, or I know what, you know, you make us think about it a little bit more, and I find that very enjoyable, and I love these two characters enough, and so I can't wait to see what your future holds. I can't wait to see what your writing does. You're a brilliant writer, and you're so young, and, you know... So,
thank you.
Show everybody the cover again, and I'm going to have all of Rachel's links listed below, along with the Amazon link where you can get this. Is it on IndieBound?
Do you know, I don't know. It is available through most major retailers. Okay. So if you was to walk into Barnes and Noble and say, get me a copy, they would get you a copy.
Awesome.
The same in England as well, like WH Smith's Waterstones. If you walk in, they will find you a copy. And it's available online, so it might be available on IndieBound.
Well, you know what, everybody, I noticed that my English authors aren't as familiar. Like, over here, everybody was like, IndieBound. Like, they really want you to go to your, you know, bookstore right in your area and look, but I will look for all the people that want to see. I will look to see if it's there, and I'll put the link below. So thank you so much. And before I let you go, like, you do so many books, like, what are you doing? Are you writing, still just writing? I know you're coaching, I know, you know, you teach writing, but are you writing books right now?
Yes, my father and I have actually just finished writing a book together. It's our very first children's book, and it is called, I can now announce this, it is called Bluetooth and the World Wide Web, and it is about a spider that has some problems with his internet connection. So that's all I can tell you. It will be illustrated, and it will be out in June.
Okay,
but that's the next step.
Awesome, because I just mentioned I have a lot of grandchildren, okay? And they're all learning technology in kindergarten. Like, they all have iPads, and they all, so when that book comes out, you find me, I will get them copies of it. And I want to stay connected. I want to be able to chat with you. So, you know where to find me. Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, thank you so much. You have a great day.
And thank you for having me.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.